Before I deployed to Afghanistan in 2006, I said to my wife that this is the reason I was put on the planet. I was put here to lead men and women in the battlefield. And I absolutely believe that to be true still today. But in 2008, when I was contemplating suicide and then fell and had a breakdown, I really thought I'd got that wrong. So I had 20 years in the Australian Regular Army, had the keys to a Black Hawk at 21 years of age, which was pretty young and pretty amazing, I thought. And so started the boy's own adventure with flying helicopters all around Australia, deployed to Iraq and flew again in Afghanistan as well. Enter Afghanistan, and then once we got there and were into operations, then yes, it was very quickly the real deal. I had a huge responsibility to make sure, as best I possibly could, that all of my people got home safely. And so all the Taliban fighting died down because they were now waiting for us. And there was a call to abort. Ignore it. A couple of seconds later, we landed in our horseshoe, and all hell erupted all the way around. So there was tracer and heavy machine gun fire going down between the aircraft, across the front of the aircraft, the sides of the aircraft. Just absolute mayhem erupted. And we got out of it, not a single scratch, not a bullet hole, not a scratch to the aircraft or any of our people, which was just amazing. Yeah. Rocket attacks on the compound at Kandahar was a fairly common event. On one occasion there in 2007 when I was there, I'd just finished in my bedroom, donga, was walking out across the compound just outside the gate, and then the whistle came overhead and the rocket landed about 5 metres from my bedroom donga and shredded the bedroom with shrapnel. But it wasn't until I got home and indeed when I fell in a heap, had my breakdown, that it was pointed out to me just how void of emotion I was. But my youngest son, who was 11 at the time, looked at me with absolute innocence and said, "Dad, why didn't you kill yourself?" I said, "Mate, ultimately because of you kids. I couldn't bear not to be with you." But the veteran suicide rate is incredibly high. And PTS is a mental illness just like depression, anxiety and various others. And that we need to be able to talk about it, to normalise it, to break the stigma. I'm a veteran, I'm working in emergency services, so I fly that machine right there, and I have post-traumatic stress and depression and anxiety. So, 10 years ago I fell in a heap, contemplating suicide. I'm incredibly privileged and fortunate to still be conducting operational work, still flying that thing, and still being able to serve the community. As I spoke about it publicly for the very first time, the response was amazing. The outpouring of emotion from men in particular to me, lots of them saying, "Your story's like mine, mate, I just haven't got the guts to talk about it yet." We really can get back to the top of our game again. My message is that mental illness is normal, manageable and recoverable for the great majority of people. But you've got to get help, and you've got to be brave enough to put your hand up and talk about it.
It really does resonate at a personal level. There are so many people here in CSC who've got a military connection, and to bring that military community here closer to CSC, and so that we've got a connection with them that is much broader than just managing their superannuation. They're part of the family.
Just like in 2006, my purpose was to lead men and women in a war zone. In 2018, my purpose now is to lead men and women to have courageous and compassionate conversations for their own sake and those of everyone around them.